Good night. This is U.S. Immigration Attorney Sharifa Tharpe. I'm here live to take your U.S. immigration related questions. Go ahead and put your questions in the comments so that I may answer your questions. I have a great topic to talk to you about tonight, and it is how to apply for permanent residence on your own. Yes, there are ways to do this. Hi, Dark Horse 45. Nice to see you tonight. So there are ways to do this on your own. You just have to make sure you qualify, of course. So there are ways to apply for your own green card under employment-based permanent resident applications. And then there are also ways to apply through the family, based on a family relationship. Also through asylum. So I'm going to go through each one by one to let you understand. Now these are touching on complex topics, and so I am going to glaze each topic and I will not go into a lot of detail. I will tell you this though, if you would like to get a personal consultation about how to pursue one of these options, go ahead and schedule that consultation with me so I can evaluate your situation and then discuss. So applying for permanent residence on your own, how can you do this? So under the employment-based permanent residence application, there is what's called the extraordinary ability permanent residence, and then there's also the exceptional ability or national interest waiver. Now, first, the EB1 or extraordinary ability green card. If you are at the top of your field in your career, that career could be in science, in the arts, so science, arts, business, athletics, or education. This could be for you, where you could apply for your own permanent residence and not necessarily go through what's called the tedious labor certification process where you need an employer. Now, usually one of the requirements of this is to show that you can meet at least 3 out of 10 specific criteria. And so it's the types of evidence that you have to show in order to prove that you have extraordinary ability would be national or international awards. If you are the member of an association that is selective, so they only want individuals who meet certain qualifications. You know, if you're highly qualified in your field, if you're at the top of your field, if you're well known in your field, that the association will only take you on that basis. If you have publications and those publications are in respected, so if you're either featured in publications or you've written publications in respected magazines or journals, if you have been the judge on a panel and that panel is one that where only the best individuals in your field can join that panel, if you're more highly paid than the average individual in your situation, that could also count. So those are some of the types of evidence that you would have to show in order to prove that you have the extraordinary ability that's required to get this permanent resident. The great thing about this process is when you're self-petitioning, that means that you don't need to show that you have confirmed employment necessarily. But the great thing is that you get to avoid the labor certification. Now, there's also what's called the national interest waiver. And the way I like to explain this is that if you have an advanced degree or exceptional ability, so exceptional ability is where you have more than the average qualification, so you have more qualifications than the average in your field, but it doesn't necessarily have to rise to the level of the extraordinary ability green card. Then you could apply for this and not have to deal with a labor certification. You could self-petition. You don't need an employer for this as well. But the main focus of the national interest waiver is that you have to prove that you have, you have substantial merit, or if you have something to bring to the table that's of national importance, that you actually have the ability to carry out these goals in the United States, and then that you would be able to achieve these goals in the United States. So that's a national interest waiver. So it's usually in, for example, in the sciences, in arts, in education, if there's anything that has to do with your contribution to cultural development, this could be for you. For example, physicians often get the national interest waiver because, for example, when the United States is short on, they're short on physicians, this would be of national importance, where it would benefit the economy. It would benefit then the welfare of society. It would benefit the healthcare system. And so that's just an example. Here they just announced that they have edited the policy manual at the USCIS to reduce the barriers that are presented to immigrants to get this national interest waiver. And so that is good news. It shows that they're going to have a lot more flexibility in who they determine can get this national interest waiver. But entrepreneurs, people who want to establish businesses here, who can actually show that they have the ability to actually achieve this, can get the national interest waiver as well. Now, these are complex topics, and it really comes down to your individual qualifications. That's where it's going to be very important for you to schedule a consultation for me to evaluate your qualifications and determine whether these employment-based paths would be for you. I'm going to take pause to answer questions. How long will it take for a marriage-based visa for the green card? So it's about 18 to 24 months on average. That does not, it's based on my experience. It doesn't necessarily mean that that's going to happen in your case. It comes down to what's going on in your situation. What did you submit? How far are you in the process? How long ago did you apply? Good evening. How long do you wait once you had your info pass appointment proving motion was granted? So is this a motion to reopen? I'd have to, that sounds like it's going into complex territory. Island Girl, you should definitely schedule a consultation. If it's a motion to reopen, I would want to know what did they reopen, or what motion did they grant, and in order to advise. But there's no way I would be able to know how long it's going to take or what are the next steps without knowing what your case is and what happened in your case. So if you really would like to, motion to dismiss, remove all proceedings. So with this, you said an info pass. So Island Girl, schedule a consultation, because an info pass is not necessarily, while it can be helpful, my question to you would be, did the information get to the actual adjudicating officer, the one that's making the decisions? Did the officer in the info pass confirm that they've passed it on and that they have accepted the evidence? But it could take a couple of months to get a response if you have submitted this information and now you're waiting for them to respond. It could take a few weeks for them to do that. But Island Girl, it sounds like there's this is more complex because you had a motion to dismiss your removal proceedings. And so I would need to evaluate what happened, what kind of case you're in the middle of, to determine how else you should move forward. My mom passed away. I have 2 underage sisters. Can I apply for them? So Princess Judith, I'm so sorry that your mom has passed away. my prayers are gonna be with you and your family. Unfortunately, you can, if you're a U.S. citizen and you're 21 and over, you could file for your two underage sisters. Now, if they're underage, there are possible pathways for them to obtain permanent residence. So, Princess Judith, can't stress this enough. Get in touch with me, schedule a consultation. Because if they're underage and you're now there, I don't know where they are. Are they in the United States? If they're in the United States, then there's what's called so it's called the Special Immigrant Juvenile Status. And where one or both parents are not available for those children, then they could possibly qualify for status. Okay, so they're in Haiti. So that's going to definitely get into more complex territory. Now, there's not going to be a straightforward answer here, just because they're your siblings. Sibling process right now is taking a minimum of 14 years. It could take as long as over 20 years to get through this process. And so it's going to really come down to the facts. Do they have any other relatives? What's going on in their situation? Can you adopt them? Even if you can adopt them, whether you can move forward with adoption and then the immigration process. So Princess Judith, get involved, schedule a consultation and we can talk. There, you can go to the link in my bio where you will see a button to schedule your own appointment, and you can also call. There's a scheduling coordinator who is available up until 11 p.m. Oh, sorry about that. They're available up until 11 p.m. Eastern time to take your call and schedule. Hi there, Jay Hine. Nice to see you. Ma'am, can I know in marriage-based green card case if tax returns filed separately but married, if it has any effect on the interview? So not necessarily. There are married couples that do choose to file separately. Putting single could definitely have a negative effect on the application, because the question would be, if you're married, why are you filing single? But in this case, if you're filing separately, so married filing separately, couples do make those decisions. For example, one spouse may have tax liability and they don't want it to affect the other spouse, because when you file jointly, you are both responsible for the same tax liability. Filing separately can help one spouse get out of that tax liability. And so I don't know if that's what you chose to do, but that's what married couples do at times. I don't know the rest of your situation though, Jay Hind, and so you shouldn't take this as legal advice that you should be taking any action on or drawing any conclusions personally about until you get personal legal advice and representation. All right, keep putting those questions in the comments. I'm talking about applying for your own permanent residence. So I talked about the extraordinary ability permanent residence and the national interest waiver. Those are processes that, for example, the national interest waiver, if you have an advanced degree, so that would be like a more than a master's, even if you have a bachelor's but you have extensive experience in your field, then this could possibly be for you. If you can show that you are going to bring something to the table to the United States, or you're at the top of your field, then self-petitioning could be for you. Now we're going to move on to self-petitioning in the family-based process. Now with self-petitioning in family, it's going to be based on if you have a U.S. citizen or legal permanent resident spouse, parent if you're under 21, or a citizen son or daughter who they are abusing you or mistreating you. You could qualify to apply on your own. This does not involve the relative. It will not even involve notification to the relative. And so it's a good way for you to be in the United States obtain benefits like a work permit and travel document, and do this on your own, where you can gain control over your own situation. Now, if you have a T visa, so if you were found to be a victim of trafficking, you got the T visa, or you were found to be the victim of a qualifying crime and you got the U visa, you would also be applying for your own permanent residence. And the last, if you've had asylum, you'd be applying for your own permanent residence after a year of being on asylum. After 3 years of being on the T visa or the U visa is where you would be able to adjust status. You may be able to adjust status to permanent residence in the United States. So I got stuck in my home country in 2020 for 11 months because of lockdown. Does it affect naturalization? So yes, it could, definitely. I encourage you to get legal representation, because if you're outside of the country for more than 6 months, they're going to ask why is it that they should not conclude that you abandoned your permanent residence. The good thing about your situation is you are outside of the United States for 11 months and you didn't hit the 365 days. So that means that you would not necessarily be denied on the spot, but they would want to see evidence to show that, you know, what happened. You have a good explanation for being outside of the country for over 6 months. And that could be showing that you maintained your ties in the US. That was definitely at the peak of the pandemic when there was a lot going on. And so that could definitely serve as an explanation for your situation. But keep in mind that this is complex territory. You don't want to risk a denial here. You don't want to risk further complications. So get legal advice and representation. Can't stress that enough. Get help with your process to make sure that you properly present the reasons that you are outside of the United States. Now you can go to the link in my profile. It's going to lead you to the website where you can you can click on the button to schedule your own appointment, or you can call. There is a scheduling coordinator who's available up until 11 p.m. Eastern time to take your call and help you with that consultation. All right, so that's going to be it for me tonight. I will be back on Sunday. So I will not be coming on. I don't plan to come on tomorrow night, but I will be back on Sunday. You're welcome. I'll be back on Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern time to take your questions and also to bring a good topic for us to talk about. So be on the lookout for me, and you can also follow me on Instagram, because I'm not ending the live officially. I'm actually going over to Instagram and Facebook to continue the live there. So if you have questions that maybe I didn't get to, or you now are thinking of asking, you can hop on over to Instagram. I'm the same as here on Instagram, The Immigration Attorney. Also, I repost the lives over there, so you can always hop on over there if you want to catch a replay of the lives on Instagram. Also, videos with updates, tips, and just entertaining videos are there. So if you want to follow me there and get most of the videos there, you can do that. On YouTube, I post videos there as well. So you'll always get the up-to-date information from me about immigration, about tips to apply and ways to get your status in the United States, even if you've overstayed or if you're out of status. Have a good night. Bye, Jahan. Thanks so much. You're welcome, Princess Judy. You're welcome, Tia. Have a great night, everyone. If I don't see you in a minute, I hope to speak with you in a consultation.